Hi YouTube, welcome to Pagan Perspective. This is Megan, aka Sabirasri. Today is Friday. I am your host, and we are talking about meme magic today. I have the day off, which I'm very excited about. A little confused about because it is a Christian holiday and I have it off from work, but on the plus side, I have a day off from work. So that's a good thing. I'm just going to leave it at that. Try not to think too much else into it at this point. So basically, we're talking about the idea of meme magic. So there were some articles that were presented, and they were, I guess, okay. It was very negative. Basically, you've got this idea about meme magic. So you're putting intention out into memes, to the internet, and is that magic? And yeah, it's totally magic. Intention magic, that's what it's all about. But what it got me thinking about is this idea of dual identities. So we have this sort of condition now, I guess, with the internet of these two worlds. Now, I'm not talking parallel universes or anything like that, the multiverse. That's a whole separate topic, and I'm all about parallel universes. But in this case, I'm just talking about it sort of as our kind of metaphorical world, I guess, if you could say. So we've got this cloud world, I'm going to call it. Instead of like the internet world, it'd be the cloud world, right? And then you've got sort of our mundane world, like our face-to-face world. And a lot of people have these cloud identities, right? An online identity or whatever, but it's who they are when they're on social media or they're on the internet, right? And then they have who they are in their mundane life. And some people, they're the same person. Other people, different attributes of themselves come out. And some people are completely different. And I know some people who literally their cloud identity is who they identify with more than their mundane identity. And there's lots of reasons for that. Sometimes they're really negative. Sometimes they can't be their authentic selves in sort of the mundane, everyday world. And online, their cloud identity is their truer sense, their truer self, right? And other people, it just feels more real to them, I guess. They just go through the motions when they're in their everyday life. And so we've got this dual world going on with a lot of people who live in the cloud, basically. And, it's no wonder that magic is happening there, right? Because magic is infused into our everyday life. Magic is part of who we are. And so it's no wonder that magic is coming out in different ways on the internet, right? The same way that once we learn to write and to draw and things like that, that magic comes out that way too. So, magic is going to find a way no matter what. It's just what medium is it currently being expressed in, and is currently the way that somebody feels the most comfortable expressing. Now, a lot of the article went into a lot of the memes and stuff, they were very negative. And so I'm not going to focus a lot on that because frankly, there is negativity everywhere. There is negativity in our everyday life, and we're not going to get rid of it. It's just not going to happen. All we can do is be a model for more positivity. Now, I'm not saying like light over dark or anything like that. I'm not trying to say that we don't need to also embrace both light and dark. It's just that some of the stuff that was in those articles was just deep dark, and it also just wasn't something that I really want to get into. It just didn't feel great to me. It wasn't productive. And so, I'm looking at meme magic in particular for helping things, right? Or for letting something go, those sort of things, to build up people, to make people think. I love that sort of stuff, and that's great. I'm not into a lot of the silly stuff. I don't think that, somebody might say, well, I'm doing it because the attention, right? There's a lot of that gets thrown around in the art world too. It's like, well, I'm trying to create a reaction, right? And I think about, well, what type of reaction were you going for? And I get it. Everything can be called art, right? It's all whatever the intention is with it. I think for me, I just know that all I can do is try and be the most positive I can. And when I'm not positive, to really make a point as to say why it's not positive and the importance of it not being positive, right? So, for example, I talk a lot about being vegan and all of the reasons why, it's important to go vegan, and to reduce, animal suffering, to reduce our own suffering for our health and to help the environment, right? So all of these reasons, right? And so I talk a lot about that, and some people can feel that's negative, right? And I post memes about that. And in a way, there's a little bit of meme magic in that, right? It's passing that on. However, at the same time, I know why I'm doing it. So some people might think that it's negative, and some things that I have to say aren't really negative because that's the reality. However, there's a goal in mind. There's a purpose, a very clear purpose in mind. And sometimes when I see overly gratuitous memes that are just sort of cartoons, without a lot of point to them, at least that I can visibly discern without being explained to, right? So I think that is my definition of when something crosses that line from being, a negative message that's important to hear and has something important to say. Like the meme itself can be negative, it can be hard to swallow kind of thing, but the message is really clear. Like it's very obvious what the message is, and that's an important message. That's fine. I'm totally into that. I think what I'm talking about is sometimes there are memes out there that are so negative and hit you in your face, and you're not really sure why. You're like, what is the message that they're trying to give out? And if that's their intention, okay, that's great. It's just not for me. I just have a trouble with those because the message isn't super clear, which can leave people, put off by it. And to me, that means then they, at least if they're going to be put off by it, let them have some sort of message. If there's an important message you're trying to deliver, then they should at least get that message when they see it. And if they're getting put off by it and they're not looking at it and they're not getting any sort of message, then I don't see where the magic came in. I don't see where the purpose came about. Do you know what I mean? So that's where I sort of draw the line for myself. Some people might feel like that's the point. That's the point of why they're doing it, and that's fine for them. It's just not my thing. But, I really feel like we do have these dual identities a lot of times. And I know it's growing ever more popular in social media and in the world. And I think we're just going to see more and more of it. And so I think the prevalence of online magic, whether it be meme magic or covens getting together over Skype and doing ritual, whatever that might be, I think we're going to see more and more of it. I really do. And that's okay in my book. I think times change and we have to change with them. Everything changes. I mean, the only constant is change, right? So we have to be prepared for that. And at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with holding on to tradition or old ways or anything like that. I know for me, I use what is comfortable for me. So now I might use social media or, the internet or technology, and I use it in ways that I feel comfortable with. If I don't feel comfortable with it, then I don't use it. I think that's really where I put it at. Now, this whole meme magic thing, do I think that it affects me? Well, I think that's also, one of those things that's important. We go back to one of the previous videos that I did, I don't remember when, for this channel, but we talked about defensive magic. And I think that that's really important for anybody. Go back and look at that whole week of defensive magic. It's really important. And, if you have questions or anything like that, put them in the down bar. I'll try and answer what I can. If there's a huge interest or something, I can go into a video more deeply on it on my personal channel. Obviously, I can't give you certain specifics about my path. I've talked about that before. It's not something I share. However, I can try and give you some general knowledge. But defensive magic is really important, especially in today's day and age. There's a lot of stuff out there. And so I am not not super worried about that. But if that's something that you're worried about, then you need to learn defensive magic, and then you'll be fine. Like, we all just have to take care of ourselves. It's the same way that we lock our doors and we, lock our cars, or we don't leave our cars running and then like run into the store. I mean, it's this, there's a common sense approach to it, right? And the common sense approach to the internet too. I mean, you get an email from a Nigerian prince who says you've just like, inherited $1 million. I mean, really, are you gonna reply? And if you are, message me. We're going to have a talk. We need to talk. If you would reply to that, we need to talk. That's just, it's going to be important, okay? So a little bit of my New York accent came out in that one, honey. But it'll be all sorts of crazy. Made me get the Irish accent out. Oh my gosh. So, I don't know how this video turned into an accent video. But yeah, I mean, it's a big world out there, and, internet has made it even bigger, and, from all over the world, and we have now friends and we have hosts from all over the world, and it's a wonderful thing. And I love embracing the technology in it all, and I just love being able to talk to my family and my friends even though I'm 5,000 miles away, and that's just something that's wonderful to me. So I embrace it when it suits me, when it suits my path, and I think that it can be a good thing. So yeah, I think that's probably about it, guys. Yeah. So as always, have a wonderful rest of your week. And for those of you who do celebrate Easter, we just had the equinox, a star has been passed. There's all sorts of holidays going on, and Passover, I think, Passover just happened. And then Easter, no, today's Good Friday. And then Easter is what? Sunday, right? Sunday, Easter Sunday, right? I'm not a Christian. I don't celebrate this. Actually, I didn't even know my wife had to explain to me what Good Friday was. I know a really dirty joke about Good Friday, but that's about it. Someone told me that. I have no idea. They're not supposed to eat certain foods. I think they don't eat meat or something like that. Maybe fish. I don't know. Either way, we're a vegan household, so yeah, and we don't celebrate that. So yeah. But I got the day off, which was fun. So, yeah, as always, guys, have a wonderful rest of your week, and whatever you celebrate, have a fabulous time, because you know what? Holidays are amazing, and whatever you celebrate, it's supposed to be about the joy of celebrating with people that you love and you care about, and, people and animals and everybody, whether that's fur family or, human family, whatever it might be, or even just by yourself, just have a wonderful time, because it's all about celebrating. When you have a holiday, just celebrate. And yeah, so that is it. As always, blessed be and aloha.